You know what's funny? The people who built the apps we can't put down, they don't use them. Peter Thiel, one of the earliest investors in Facebook, he lets his kids use screens for 1.5 hours per week. Total. When he said that at a conference, people literally gasped. And Bill Gates, Evan Spiegel, the man who built Snapchat. They've all said the same thing in different words. I know exactly what this does to your brain. And I want no part of it. In group chats, that constant ping, ping, ping from 47 different conversations you're somehow part of, the wealthy figured something out a long time ago. Something that's only now leaking into mainstream conversation. Your attention is not free. Somebody is getting paid every second you spend, distracted. And it's not you. Stay with me. Because by the end of this, you're going to see your phone differently. You're going to see your group chats differently. And you're going to understand why the most successful people guard their silence like it's money. Because for them, it literally is. Every time you open a group chat and scroll through 200 unread messages at 11 p.m., that's not socializing. That's cognitive labor. And you're doing it for free. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. Every notification, every LOL from your cousin, every meme dropped into the family WhatsApp, each one fires a small dopamine response. It's the same loop slot machines use. You check. You feel something. You check again. The platform logs that interaction and sells it to an advertiser. The global digital advertising market? Over $700 billion, growing toward $1 trillion. That money comes from one place, human attention. Your attention. Now here's the thing nobody talks about in those hustle culture videos. The rich don't have more hours in the day, they have more of those hours actually functioning. A study from 2025 found the average human attention span has dropped to 8.25 seconds. A goldfish holds focus for 9. 9. We lost to a goldfish. Meanwhile, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan CEO, he put it bluntly in his April 2025 shareholder letter. He called out one of the biggest productivity killers in modern workplaces. People reading texts in the middle of meetings. His exact words? This has to stop. It's disrespectful. It wastes time. The man runs one of the most powerful banks on earth. He's not worried about his Wi-Fi password. He's worried about fractured attention, because at that level, one distracted decision can cost hundreds of millions. So, what do the wealthy do? They treat their attention the way a normal person treats their salary. They budget it, they protect it, and they refuse to give it away for free. Let me paint you a picture. It's Sunday morning. You're trying to think. Maybe you're planning your week. Maybe you're sitting with a problem you've been turning over for days. And then your phone lights up. It's the group chat. Someone sent a voice note, 15 seconds, then a reaction, then 3 people typing, then a video of a dog doing something. You haven't even looked at it yet. And your train of thought is gone. This isn't weakness. This is biology. The brain is bad at ignoring social signals. We're wired to pay attention when someone in our tribe is communicating. That goes back tens of thousands of years. These platforms know that. They've engineered every notification, every sound, every badge number to exploit exactly that wiring. Research is clear on what this costs us. When you're pulled out of focused thought, even briefly, it doesn't take 30 seconds to get back. It takes 23 minutes to fully return to the depth of focus you were at before. 23 minutes for a dog video. Now multiply that by how many times a day you get pulled. Warren Buffett reads for 5 hours a day, 5 hours of uninterrupted thinking. Bill Gates does think weeks. He disappears to a cabin, no meetings, no phone calls, just books and thinking. These aren't quirks, they're systems. Deliberately built systems to protect the one resource that actually makes them money, their ability to think clearly. And here's what group chats are. They are the opposite of Think Week. They are low-grade distraction, filling every gap, every moment of boredom, every elevator ride, every 3 minutes before a meeting with other people's thoughts, other people's noise, other people's priorities. When was the last time you had a genuinely original idea? Now think about how many hours a day your brain is running someone else's content. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Group chats don't just steal your focus, they steal your identity. Think about how group dynamics work. You're in a chat with 12 people. Someone shares an opinion, someone reacts, a few pile on, a few stay quiet because disagreeing costs too much. Within minutes, a consensus forms, not because it's the most logical position, because it's the most popular one among those 12 people. Now you carry that consensus around. It affects how you talk about the topic later. It affects how you think about it. Slowly, quietly, you start outsourcing your judgment to the group. The rich figured something out that sounds almost antisocial. The more opinions you absorb, the less clarity you have. There's a reason the most decisive leaders in history were hard to reach, not because they were arrogant, but because good decisions come from silence, not consensus. Naval Ravikant, entrepreneur, philosopher. He put it this way: the quality of your decisions is determined by the quality of your inputs. Garbage in, garbage out. And most of what flows through group chats, it's garbage, not maliciously, just noise, memes, complaints, secondhand opinions, outrage about things forgotten by Thursday. The wealthy curate their inputs the same way they curate their investments. Carefully, deliberately, with very high standards for what gets through. So if not group chats, then what? This is where people get it wrong. They assume rich, successful people are just loners, antisocial. Someone alone in a mansion eating caviar and ignoring their phone. That's not it. The difference is intentional connection versus reactive connection. Reactive connection is what most of us do. Someone messages, you respond. A chat blows up. You're pulled in. The conversation finds you. You react to it. You're always playing defense with your attention. Intentional connection looks different. You choose when, you choose who, you choose the topic. You call someone because you have something specific to discuss. You schedule a dinner with 3 people whose thinking genuinely challenges yours. You don't answer every message immediately, not because you're rude, but because you have something more important happening, your own thought process. Think about this. If you answer every message within 5 minutes, you're telling the world your schedule is open for anyone to hijack. Your day becomes a reaction to other people's needs, their requests, their boredom. The people building real wealth, they respond on their terms. They batch communications. They do phone calls, not voice notes. They have real conversations that go somewhere, not 48-hour threads about nothing. Google literally runs something called focus time. Meetings are banned, notifications silenced. For blocks of the day, this isn't productivity fluff. It's a trillion-dollar company protecting its most valuable asset, the thinking capacity of its people. Now here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Muting a group chat, leaving it indefinitely, just being slow to respond. There's a social cost to that. People notice, people take it personally. There's this unspoken rule that being reachable means you care. But let's look at who invented that rule. The platforms did. The culture of instant response was engineered by apps that need you checking constantly. That's how they profit. Read receipts were a feature designed to create social anxiety. WhatsApp didn't add them because they improve your life. They added them because the pressure to respond keeps you inside the app longer. You've been trained to feel guilty about protecting your own mind. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people blowing up your group chat with nonsense, they don't even mean anything by it. They're just bored. They're filling their own silence with noise and dragging you into it, and you comply because opting out feels rude. Meanwhile, a 2020 BAT5 report found that 62% of Gen Z feel emotionally exhausted by the pressure to stay visible online. 62%. This is the generation that grew up with it. They're burned out, and they haven't even hit their 30s. The wealthy simply decided, I'm not going to let social pressure determine how I use my mind. Full stop. And you know what happened? The friendships that mattered survived. The noise that fell away was noise. Here's the thing about silence that nobody tells you. It's not empty. Silence isn't the absence of productivity. It's where productivity actually lives. Every breakthrough idea came in a moment of quiet. The shower, the walk, the long drive with no podcast playing. These aren't accidents. The brain needs space to process, to connect dots, to surface insights the noise buried. Cal Newport wrote about this. High-value work can only happen in a state of distraction-free concentration. That skill, the ability to focus deeply, it's becoming rare. And because it's rare, it's becoming extraordinarily valuable. In a world where everyone is half distracted, the person who can sit down and think clearly has an almost unfair advantage. The rich aren't quieter because they're rich. They got rich in part because they were quieter. They had more of their own mind available to work with. And now, with the noise louder than ever, that advantage only compounds. So let me leave you with this. I'm not telling you to delete WhatsApp. I'm not saying ghost your family chat and become a hermit. I'm saying, try 1 week of being deliberate. Mute the chats, not leave. Just mute. Check them once a day, at a time you choose, not when your phone buzzes. Notice what happens to your thinking. Notice what you do with those gaps of silence, the ones that used to fill up with other people's content. Notice whether you start having thoughts that feel like yours. Because here's the real divide between people who build wealth and people who don't. It's not work ethic, it's not talent, it's not connections, it's who owns their own mind. Every morning you wake up with a finite amount of cognitive clarity, a limited tank. You can spend it on your vision, your goals, your craft, or you can spend it reacting to 200 unread messages from people who, and I say this with love, are mostly just bored. The rich made a choice, quiet, unsexy, almost invisible. They decided their attention was worth protecting. That choice is available to you too, right now. Today, it doesn't cost money, it costs courage. The courage to stop performing availability for people who aren't paying your bills and start showing up fully for the work that could change your life. The notification can wait. Your mind is the one thing that can't. If this hit different, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Not the group chat. One person, intentionally. I'll see you in the next one.